So we were thinking about the reason that we suffer. Is it because God doesn't care? Is it because He's gone? Or was He busy? Is it like the deist and Thomas Jefferson said, He came by for a while and then He went on to another project? Or is there really a purpose that God would give us for suffering? I think if we look at Psalm 139, we get a little bit concerned because God knows everything we do before we do it, think before we think it, feel before we feel it. He says that before we sit down or rise, He knew it already. Before we thought it, He knew we were going to think that. So all the days of our lives were recorded in a book, and before any of them came to be. And then He has more thoughts of us than there are grains of sand. So if that makes sense to you, then it probably doesn't make sense that He would allow suffering. If we go to the end of that Psalm 139 and look, it says, "Search me and not know me, and reveal my anxious thoughts, where I doubt you, where I fear, where I would move without you, Father, and then test me." And so, if we ask for the test, sometimes whether we ask or not, right, then the suffering may come up, the exposing of where we might doubt God, or where we haven't applied God, His names, where we haven't trusted Him for the revelation of His power, wisdom, emotional strength. It's there, and then what we can do is begin to strengthen ourselves in that arena, that event, that relationship. And isn't that cool that He would take the time to grow us up, almost like gradually, or grade by grade, if you were in grade school, we get closer to God. Isn't that awesome that God would bring us closer? I don't know that how many of us would like it to be through the testing, through the suffering. But in redemptive suffering, which is the term that I'm looking at today, it's a challenge, because redemptive suffering calls for us to suffer, but so that we can be redeemed or closer to God, so that He can expose intimate interaction with us, connection to us, or us connection to Him would be better. Excuse me, but I would say that there's a lot of good studies out there about redemptive suffering, part of which, as many of you know, I'm reading The Familiar Stranger by Tyler Staton. There's a section in there about redemptive suffering that I didn't want to read beforehand, but now that I'm reading it, it has a lot of connection to, first of all, that we should not desire for it to happen exactly, but that we should desire for its results, in that God would take the time to love you so much that He would bring you closer to Him through this. He reminds us that the suffering that we go through now is a temporary, 80, 90 years, something like that. For some of us, it's, closer to 10, 20, 30 years left. But in that case, we recognize the amount of time, how long we'll be with God. If the last verse of Amazing Grace is right, even when we've been in heaven for 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we'll have no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. For you math people, that's infinity years with God. And after 10,000 of them, we'll only have infinity left. So what a great thought or concept that we get to be with God that long, and the pleasures of being with God and receiving Him fully with a new body that is totally receptive to the character and the glory of God, to His presence. Whereas this body and this life, there's so many distractions that we have to suffer through. And so this redemptive suffering begins to make that, which will be permanent, begins to instill that in us now. Do you look forward to suffering? Do you look forward to the redemption at the end of the suffering? Whether it be with relationships, it could be your family, it could be with friends, it could be even with people at church, it could be at work, it could be with people that appear to be our enemies, appear to be. a number of enemies. I've had the pleasure of seeing them walk to the other side and begin relationship with God, or get a new understanding, possibly even sometimes being pretty close friends with them. So redemptive suffering could be dealing with anywhere from hurts, stitches, to cancer, and anything in between. How do we deal with that? What does God do in this? The idea is, if you do go through suffering, that you immediately turn to God and say, hey, look, I need you. I need you now. I need your power. I need your wisdom. I need your healing touch. I need your emotional strength and fortitude to get through this. I need to be of you. I need to have see your glory. I need to have your glory exposed to me and through me. And that is your names and your character here, Father. And imagine, if you're watching this, you can recall in your testimony of times where God has redeemed you, where he's called you. And if you haven't been recalling the things that God has done for you, this would be a great time to do that and develop that testimony, and don't be afraid to share it with people. In fact, God is calling you to share your testimony. They can argue all they want to with the Bible, but they can't argue with your testimony, because that did happen to you. They can't tell you you didn't receive what you did receive. They can't tell you you didn't experience what you know you did. It's a powerful, powerful testimony where God healed, where God brought to restoration your people, your friends, your family, when God brought wisdom to you, a word of wisdom that you couldn't have known, a word of knowledge you couldn't have known, but he brought that to you. Isn't that interesting that God still, after all we've done wrong to him, he still has so much mercy. His mercies are new every morning for all the separations we're going to go through during the day. But he calls us closer. He redeems us. He draws us. He makes himself attractive to us, and we count on him. So redemptive suffering, it's okay. It's for a few more, anywhere from seconds to moments to days, weeks, maybe years, maybe decades, but only that much. And then we get to be with him in heaven and connect it always. So the redemptive suffering is for all the moments that we can take care of now, and then experience him completely and fully, eternally. Are you into that? I hope you are.